His goal was clear, and today we present that award named for him to two men who really embody that spirit. So they're like, I consider them to be like two trains starting from different points but having the same point of view. And both of them started out as educators, but whether it was housing or employment, they wound up really in the same place. So Jim Gibson, who started out as an educator, really became sort of a guru of philanthropy, and he was one of the major players in the United Planning Organization, and ultimately a founder of the Fair Employment Council, which is best known for using testing to really demonstrate discrimination, because as you may know, in housing, in employment, it's really hard to say that the person's intent was discriminatory. So the testing allows people to see that when two people who are basically the same, except for a difference in their color, go for the same job with the same skills and they get a different result, one begins to question the motive of that employer. And so then when we turn to housing and we have Monsignor Kuehner, he too looked out. He was an educator, and then he started to move into really looking at the environment and trying to help move the social work forward. So he started with things like founding so others might eat, and then he became a founder of the Fair Employment Council, which also used testing to determine whether or not there was discrimination. Because once again, if two people go and they apply for the same housing unit and one is turned down and the only difference is the color of their skin, it becomes clear that there is a discriminatory intent. So you saw the film. You can read the program. Let me just say this. As a board member on the Equal Rights Center, these two gentlemen are jewels. They really are. And there was a time when people wondered what would happen when you had a clergy board and a philanthropist and you put some lawyers on the board. People said, Lord, what's going to happen there? I tell you what, the lawyers toed the line, because these two gentlemen, with strong of hand, with great focus, and with awesome grace and strength, have a goal. And that goal is to make our society the society that we promised that it is. And both of them use that strength to have us do everything that needs to be done. So whether it's a financial challenge, whether it's a challenge presented by litigation, they're in. And they make sure you're in with them. And it is an honor and a privilege to serve with them. So I ask James Gibson and Monsignor Kuehner to come forward and receive your well-deserved award.
Certainly want to thank the Washington Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights and Urban Affairs, and I know that there's a lot behind that. I see the staff, of course. We work with the staff as part of the Equal Rights Center. I know there's a board of directors, a board of trustees, and I know there's all of the law firms out there who are helping the work. It's wonderful, and I'm really grateful for all of that. I'm also grateful today that I have some of my family and friends here, but also some of my friends who are on the 9 nonprofit boards that I'm part of. Because they're keeping me out of trouble in my old age. But two things I'd just like to say. First of all, thank you for what people do. In these 40 years, I've been amazed how great people are trying to help. It's impossible in 40 years to mention names, but I can mention a few groups. First of all, the governments themselves have been good in my programs. A lot of support from the federal government. We got support from the state government. We've gotten support from the local governments. There was special vote of thanks to Montgomery County. They made it possible for Victory Housing to have its first project become a reality. And they've continued to support me down through the years since then, so that we have, right at the moment, we're building a whole house for persons with developmental disabilities out in Gaithersburg with their help. But part of that, then, of the help that we get, of course, very much important to me is individuals We've had such great support from individuals in almost every program. Just to give one example, at one point I was running 12 centers for adult basic education. We highlighted high school equivalency, and of course English is a second language, but all of the teachers were volunteers. Many of them with PhDs and so forth, but would come out at night and teach for us. The second point I'd like to make is sort of preaching to the choir, and that is to keep up the good work, because I see, unfortunately, a lot of things are still not right. At some, for instance, we feed some 900 people at least every day, right in the shadow of the Capitol. That's not right. You know, justice should somehow take over that and change that thing. People should have their own jobs, their own way of making a living. So we have a lot to do. And I'm not the one, I can't tell you exactly what the answer is, but I appreciate what you all are doing because you are fighting for justice. In my 40 years, I've been always in two areas, service or justice. Service is very important because people need to eat. For instance, they need various support systems. But justice is far more important because you're going to try to change the system and make it more fair to everybody. So I certainly encourage you to do whatever you can to make it possible. I was at a national meeting and they asked each one of us, what is your best quality? My answer was persistence. I never quit. And I'm very happy then to get this word in the name of Mr. Alfred McKenzie, because he's certainly in the face of much difficulty because of racial prejudice, did persist, and he finally was able to achieve the goals that he has achieved, which were wonderful. So I think that's something that's important for all. And just to make the point clear that persistence is necessary, I remember during the years from 1970 to 72 lobbying in Congress and testifying before a congressional committee to try to get a representative for the District of Columbia on voting rights. We did get the representative, but if you read the papers, you know, we still don't have the voting rights. So we need to persist on that issue, and I encourage you to do that. Basically, I want to say thank you to all of you, because all of you in some way are here because you support the work of the of the Lawyers Committee on Civil Rights, and God bless you.
Hi, everybody. I want to add my thanks and gratitude to Ralp's. I was 20 years old when Brown versus Board of Education was ruled, and that gave me a couple of privileges. Number one, I had the privilege of working in my community in Atlanta to dismantle Jim Crow as it was manifest in so many ways there, to begin that job. And doing it as a volunteer with my neighbors and my community, and it taught me something about self-empowerment and the utility of banding together with people to accomplish difficult things. The second thing it did was to pose a question to us all. What do you do the day after the court has ruled that treating people differently based on race is no longer legal? What do you do programmatically? What do you do administratively? What do you do about administrative practice? Those are questions we are still questing with, and it's for that reason that I have such gratitude to the work of you in this room, because we've changed our laws in many respects, but the question remains, does it apply here? Does it apply there? Does it apply here? And that's the work you do with the Equal Rights Center, and that I so much appreciate. Thank you.